Welcome to Horticulture, where a group of extension professionals and plant people talk about the business, production, and joy of planting seeds and helping them grow. Join us as we explore the culture of horticulture.
Well, as we round out October, I feel like it's important for us to say the favorite pumpkin thing we've had in October.
That was a hot launch right into a topic.
Softball. That's a softball topic, Alexis.
What did you say? Oh, sorry, what was the
important.
Favorite pumpkin type?
Your favorite pumpkin thing you've had. I've been thinking snacks because, as always, I am. But I guess it doesn't have to be necessarily snack related. Pumpkin thing you've had in the month of October.
Well, I was just eating mine, I guess, and our neighbors are wonderful. We've got multiple bakers around us, and our one neighbor, catty corner to us to the left, just made some really yummy pumpkin bread, and also brought some sourdough bread and other various breads and cookies yesterday. It was still warm, so I ate a quarter of a loaf of pumpkin bread.
I mean, if it's still warm, you have to, right?
It was warm. And Reed said, she only brought half a loaf. I'm like, don't judge me, Reed.
That's right. It's weird.
But
it's weird. She only brought half a loaf. So
it's just like pumpkin bread, just warm pumpkin bread. That's so far that's nailed it. It was still warm. So shout out to the neighbors. Thank you, neighbors.
Wow. Does butternut count as a pumpkin?
Oh, totally.
We're gonna count it. Yeah, we're gonna count it.
The Gourd family.
Cucurbits. Let's talk about cucurbits.
Cucurbit AC. Yeah.
Well, in that case, some pickles that I have. No,
it opens up some possibilities.
So to make butternuts, we like to smoke them. So peel them, quarter them, get the stuff out, and smoke it, and then add it to things. So we added it to a chili one day, and then I smoked enough. And then one of my favorite things that Annie makes this time of year is a butternut mac and cheese. So it's a butternut blended cheese sauce, and then you mix it with the stuff, and then bake it. And so with smoked butternut, it is the next level, if you can imagine.
I'm into it. I'm asking
for a good flavor, makes it better. I love
Jessica, what about you?
I'm trying to think if I've had anything.
Yeah, I haven't had anything proper pumpkin.
Season. Yeah,
I literally just had my first pumpkin thing yesterday, so no judgment.
So you stacked the deck for yourself there.
Correct.
Having something.
It's fresh
on
you.
You won't let me go first, so yeah, I'm going to stack the deck for myself.
Yeah.
We did know Ray was going to have a good answer, to be fair.
Something that I think about that I have not had this season is a pumpkin macaroon, right? I have a coworker who makes those, and the
delicious
is perfect. It's delicious. I still think about those.
Amazing.
They are something that you remember and think about. Well, I bought these yesterday, and sounds weird, but so good as a savory girly. They are pumpkin tortilla chips, and sounds strange. I get it. They've got pumpkin seeds in them and pumpkin puree in them, and they have just like cinnamon, nutmeg, but then salt. So it's like not necessarily sweet, but has like that cinnamony like flavor. Oh my gosh, they are so good.
This is a TJ acquisition.
Yeah, I was on an end cap, and I was like, these are mine. They are lovely, so delightful. Not normally something I would buy, but I was like, hey, I'm in a pumpkin-y mood. It is October after all. So, but
I called Alexis. I called up Alexis, and she said, and I said, so what's, I was just checking about something. What's going on? She's like, well, I'm at Trader Joe's, and I immediately hung up the phone because I was like, this is not the time to interfere, to get in between. I will call it literally any time other than this one.
I have like one thing that I can't get anywhere else at Trader Joe's, and so I have to go like every 2 weeks to get it now that I'm addicted and I'm in Lexington often enough.
What is it? What's the thing?
They're a type of cookie. They're a meringue cookie, so it's like little dollops of meringue that are like freeze dried, and they're just like they kind of melt in your mouth like those peppermints, those peppermints that kind of melt in your mouth really easy. So they either do that, right, or they've got the perfect crunch, and so they're just like this nice little light thing.
Is there like a flavor profile to them? Do they like?
Yes, they taste to me like Lucky Charms marshmallows. Very specific.
I was not expecting that. Wow.
That took a turn, but I'm not opposed to it.
So
exactly like them, just in like a chunk of a cookie. And for those people who maybe want to indulge in more sugary things, but they're trying not to like overdo their
I don't try that. I just go all in.
Intake of stuff. They're also very low in calories. So that's a nice little listen, they're like pure sugar with low calorie. I guess that's a win in my book.
It's like a math problem. It's like a physics conservation of energy.
Brett, I know you went to Evans. You didn't get anything pumpkin-y out there. I mean, I know the squash, but I want to know. I want to experience that with you.
So I got a hot apple cider. No, I didn't get any pumpkin. I got a hot apple cider.
Yeah, fall things, and
Annie got a apple cider mimosa.
Oh,
yum!
Oh,
did not know they had those.
Bit.
Okay,
it was
it pretty?
I think I would choose. I personally would have chosen a tangier varietal of apple for my mimosa. But and I would also have chosen a little bit drier wine for my personal taste. But it was like a prosecco and regular apple juice. But very good, a nice alternative. We had a nice, and then we also split a apple hand pie.
Yum.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think maybe I haven't been to Stepping Stone for one this year, so I need to revisit. But I think maybe Evans might have the premier apple hand pie in Central Kentucky.
I did have one of those out there recently, and it was pretty good. When I picked it up, it was heavy, and I was like, "This is a good sign."
The filling, they have a lot.
I like my pies heavy.
Yeah,
I
like my
pies
shirt slogan for us.
The fall vibes, even though we're at the end of the month, because we just got back from the beach. So as you're talking about pie, we had key lime pie several times.
My favorite.
And lots of shrimp.
Love it.
And so as I'm like trying to think about these fall things, I'm just like, man, I've just been in like
next week with Halloween.
Next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to slip away before we know it. So we also got, while we were there, we also got a full-size regular apple pie that we had intended to serve at a little get-together thing we were having, and oops, we forgot.
Oh my god!
So we just had
no judgment. We did the same thing.
Pie for supper.
We did legitimately forget, but it was one of those forgets where you think like, shoot,
I'm not
and
mad
you look
about
up and you're smiling. Like,
oh, such a bummer.
So wait, Jessica, what are your concrete plans to engage the fall spirit?
I got to start carving some pumpkins.
Yes.
We
haven't carved pumpkins
yet. Coming back from the beach, down there, everything is still nice and green. But as made our way back home, some fall color has started appearing.
Interesting.
Queen of transition.
Ooh, that was a good one, right? But yeah, the fall color and carving pumpkins and all the Halloween-y things coming up. So,
do you all do anything with
catch on?
Do your kid? I feel like your kids have very specific and amazing like food requests. Do they have any that are fall related?
Not so much. Like they do love some apple cider. I mean, they go crazy over the apple cider. It is only in our refrigerator. We have to buy the gallon, and it's not, it's gone instantly.
You have to be careful with the fresh stuff. You don't want to go too hard with fresh stuff. Yeah.
Right.
You really mess up your belly. Yeah.
Right. They love the apple cider. And of course, they're never going to turn down the cider donuts either.
No,
right?
no.
Is this, are we officially in cinnamon roll season, or is that cinnamon roll season like a year round?
Oh, that's 24/7 at our place.
I didn't know if there's, I got you.
Cinnamon roll season is every season, Brett?
Yes. That's every season.
It's like sorghum season. That's always in season with me, Jessica. Just
my
in case
kids
you
did
forgot.
request sorghum at a restaurant we went to, and I was kind of proud about that.
That
they and the waitress
amazing.
was like,
one of
"What?
one of my favorite
5-year-old? You want what?"
We have just so everyone's jealous. We have a podcast group chat where the funniest things you ever imagined have been said, and we just share a lot of fun stuff. So FOMO, please. But one of my favorites is that Jessica sent this picture and it goes with other stories of the same thing happening of her children just at Jessica and Sean's stand, just housing bottles of honey. Just straight to the dome, honey, straight to the dome. And her kids are so adorable and so cute, but the cute face with the crazed honey look in their eyes, I could not. I give me, as Sean, my friend Sean would say, give me all of that you got. I love
chugging
that.
the honey bears,
chugging honey bears,
like the product. This is a product that you were theoretically going to sell. They're taking it and
stole off the table.
Exactly.
It feels like Viking children, like they're
by the pound.
This is their pre-mead. You know, they're just housing honey, and then eventually they graduate to mead as they become older Vikings.
Thankfully, they've only been stealing off our table at this time that I know of. Right?
Winning.
I know of. They're too cute. They'll never get told on.
So in fall they switch to sorghum. It sounds
they switch to sorghum.
All the sweeteners.
I feel like this is like. I know this is not on topic, and Jessica made such a beautiful transition, but this talk of sorghum reminds me. I was recently in Columbus with my best friend, and we went to a nice, like a very legit Italian restaurant while we were there, and they actually had digestives, which are like your after dinner drink to help with digestion, and it's like technically like an alcohol, also called like grappa, or there's a lot of names after it, and so I just picked one and it came out and it's, it was real dark, and I took a swig of it, and the guy, the waiter, cause he had suggested this one, said like, "Oh, what flavors are you getting?" And I was like, "Blackstrap molasses is the first where I would go." And he just looked at me with this like dumb look, and he's like, "What?" I was like, blackstrap molasses, they're real dark. And my friend who's not in agriculture was like, "What is blackstrap molasses, Alexis? Nobody knows what that is." And I was like, "Oh."
Very provocative. Yeah. It's like,
we would have looked at each other and said, if it had been you and me, we'd look at each other and said, "We need to leave. This place doesn't know."
Yeah. This place is way too lowbrow.
This place, we had already eaten, so it was like a perfect time to be like, "Oh, this isn't a place for me."
Sorry.
Yeah.
So, but it reminded me of like the sorghum thing, because I could have said sorghum, and I thought I was going like a good route to say specifically blackstrap molasses, and the guy was like, "Oh, I get hints of bubble gum," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Sure. Let's stick with the blackstrap molasses.
I liked it. I prefer. But anyways, we are talking fall color today, as Jessica alluded to, because it is fall in Kentucky, peak season, and we're getting into it. And
feels good outside.
It feels great outside. Yeah.
Oh, you get like I never understood people who just like to drive around. Like I have family members who are like, "Oh, we just went for a drive on Sunday," and like any time of the year. This time of the year, I'm like, okay, that's on point. I get it. It's beautiful outside, but I don't get it in the middle of summer, but that's just me.
And we probably should, throw out, we are actually recording this close to the time when it gets posted. So we're going to be looking into the future a little bit today. Hopefully the cooler weather that we're getting, today will translate, because we'll post on the weekend. Hopefully that'll translate into some color. The cooler weather, and we've had some moisture lately. I don't know if it's too late. It's a fine line. But yeah, I'm hoping so. Knock on wood. And I'm real curious, Jessica, you came from down south. Normally color moves from north to south, color change in the fall in the U.S., right? Well, I've been getting reports, and I'm kind of jealous of the Carolinas, parts of the Carolina mountains. It may be due to elevation, or it could be that they've just had a little bit more moisture in August than we did. But I heard that there's some color showing up there that we're not even getting yet in Kentucky. I don't know. I was curious about that. I've not looked at my map trackers as much.
Because we had that like heat dome that just parked over us this summer.
The corn sweat.
The corn sweat dome.
It's a real thing that Brett didn't believe me about.
Which temperature's tricky.
I still
got an email about it.
I'm calling Matt Dixon. All right, like
I am not saying that it can't be proven. I'm saying I don't believe it, and that's a valid take. That's a valid take in 2025.
That's valid enough. That's scientific enough. Valid enough. I don't feel like it's a thing. So
yeah. I don't know. So did you go through? You didn't go. Did you go through parts of Carolina at all to notice, Jess?
I did not. I drove the entire length of Alabama, which is a long drive.
Yeah.
So it was about like Tennessee-ish. So I started to see more of color starting to pop up.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say, just to endear Ray to our listeners even more than he's already endeared. To me, he is like the most excited about, or like at least vocally excited
I'm the
about,
most
like
obnoxious by far about it.
seasonal, well, just like seasonal plant changes. You know, he's like so excited. He was trying to get us
He's
to go out, and we
deeply
ended up not
ingrained.
doing, to go out to like see the rhododendrons when they were blooming and to see some of the spring ephemerals. And we all get excited about them, but Ray is like so excited about them.
Really excited.
And it's
about
the same way with the fall color. When we were thinking about a fall color episode, I was like, this will be, I would like Ray to kind of share his insights. And of course, he has a tracker. He has a prefer. I asked him, like, so do you have like the fall color tracker thing pulled up? And he's like, well, yeah. My favorite one is this one, but then my second favorite's this one, and my third favorite's this one. And I was like, this is
pitiful.
I just love it so much.
Indeed.
Yes, please. So Ray, what do you use to track this stuff? What are you looking at? How you feeling?
There's so many good as far as foliage maps out there. Whatever state you're in, that's a good place to start. I know Kentucky Tourism has a really great tracker on their map. And Jessica, you mentioned the mountains, of Tennessee, come through parts of Tennessee. The SmokyMountains.com has a really good. They have a great tracker as well, because that's one of the most popular destinations in the country for people to go to see color change. The cool thing about mountains at elevation is you get that gradient when you look on the mountain. If you go at just the right time of the year, you can see from green to all of the color change and see the strata going on there. But one that I use a lot is and a lot of other websites reference this one, is explorefall.com, and it's just their interactive foliage map, and it has a full screen map. When you bring that thing up, it's just a full page of and keyed out in color of what color is doing in the U.S. So it's that's some of the ones that I use. Kentucky Tourism, and then the map I just mentioned, and then Tennessee for all of our folks in Kentucky that love to go there for fall break or have been there. They have a really good foliage map. But this year, I mean, I'm just wondering where the color's going. I mean, so far it's been very quiet. The color change, of course, we all know it's sparked by, primarily change in day length. And then, temperature has a big part to do with that. When we have not freezing nights,
cool nights, warm
days. It's just like shiitake mushrooms. We've talked a little bit about that on previous episodes. It's that temperature differential that triggers so much in the plant world, that difference in temperatures. And moisture, which moisture is really interesting with fall leaf color. If you have adequate moisture early in the year, but a drier fall as you approach fall actually concentrates the sugars. So that's an ideal setup. If you have those three things coming together, of course, day length, that's pretty constant. And then you have those temperature differentials and adequate moisture in the growing season with a drier fall, that's a good setup. But I'm a little bit worried about that really dry August that we had, because that was a little bit early. You don't want it to be that dry that early. Otherwise, you just have tannins showing up, which tannins are brown. Right. Things get crunchy and they fall off.
They're just brown.
Yeah, they're the color of regret.
I am color of regret. Yeah. I am encouraged versus past years. I know people would call a lot in like September and go, my tree has lost all of its leaves, or my tree is already brown. And it was because we were so dry for so long. Where this year, like the trees still have their leaves into late October. I just drove through Casey County today, and I was really starting to see those yellows pop and the hints of red on the maples. So like I'm feeling positive that maybe we got just enough rain at just the right time to kind of push us to. Looking at this map, which I didn't know about, Ray, that you told me about, this explorefall.com. So cool.
It's very cool.
And so I slid, we're doing this episode just a few days early, but I slid this to October 26th when this episode will come out. And Kentucky, it's like far eastern southern Kentucky, will be in peak color. And then it's still not quite peak color for the rest of the state. No. And I was like, this is perfect. This is so cool. But you can see the whole US and like where peak is and slide that around. And I'm fascinated.
Yeah, if you want to describe the colors, I mean, right now, I guess if Alexis, if you're looking at that, the color is, of course, in Michigan as you go up to the far northern parts. And out west, there's a lot of color change. It's already past peak out west.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we're just not there yet.
Michigan is peak, like for when this episode airs, the estimate, of course, is peak color, which the lower peninsula, which fits in. My sister-in-law lives in the upmost part of the southern peninsula, so right near like Mackinac Bridge, and they have a drone, and so they do like they go out and they live kind of near they live really close to a lot of trails and forests, so they'll launch the drone up to get the color, and it looks like the land is just like set on fire. It's so bright and brilliant red. It's gorgeous. So
I really
cool.
wanted to save that for a fall trip, but we explored the park there by the bridge last year, and I really want to get back up there for fall, just for just leaf looking, all the way up to Canada. Yeah. We were up in that area, but it was at the wrong time of the year. Yeah, I want to be a leaf looker and go to the New England states, and I think a lot of Josh. I mean, has anybody heard from Josh, former podcast host? Has anybody? Yes. Shout out to Josh.
Has anyone heard from
still listening? Has anyone heard from Josh?
He sent me some funny memes about cats.
Has he taken? Who cares about the cat? Has he taken any pictures of leaves changing? I want to know.
He's mostly talked about like the late winter or the like really prolonged and late cold and snow and everything else last year. I haven't talked to him about fall stuff.
I've talked to him recently, but I do remember a couple weeks ago I was saying how like was when we got like a true break from the heat, when it dropped below like 85 in early October, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we have a freeze warning tonight," and I was like,
"Wow,
okay.
Oh, wow,
very impressive, maple syrup boy."
Okay.
Yeah. He also probably drinks maple syrup by the bear, honey bear.
That's right.
It's a maple bear.
That's a state law, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a requirement.
In order to let you into the state, you have to chug one on the border. So
yeah, to prove that you are the right.
If you throw up, you're turned away. So
yeah, well, I'm not going to cut it.
On that, the map, I noticed you can toggle between color report and peak timing. Mm-hmm. And so you can see like when the suggested peak timing, and it's kind of interesting. So the state of Kentucky is sort of carved into two. The eastern part has something in common with like the Midwest and even parts of like West Virginia, and then the western part of the state, more or less west of the Mississippi. West of the Appalachians, is more in that. So it's in the kind of with Tennessee and Carolina. Mm-hmm. The eastern part's supposed to peak in late October, and the western part's supposed to peak in early November. But back on that, like why we would or wouldn't have a decent fall thing. So the things that I heard you say, Ray, I think were if you have adequate moisture throughout the season and the trees are healthy throughout the season, then they have less of a tendency to produce tannins and drop their leaves early. Is that?
Yeah, I've heard it explained different ways, but if you have a good growing season, of course you have, lots of sugars going through the plant because it's happy and healthy. And if you have a little bit of a dry fall, that concentrates the sugars, and that's, all the things that makes the colors, the yellows, the reds. The reds are a little different. They don't exist there until the fall, whereas the yellow colors, they exist, and then chlorophyll goes away, and you see those. But all of those are concentrated because of the sugars if it turns off a bit dry. So if you were to pick a perfect year, from what I understand, it's, it's one of those years where you have a pretty good growing season with a slightly drier fall. With those cool nights, like Alexis said, cool nights, and then the warmer days. And that usually leads, and, you don't want a hard freeze. Because sometimes that just causes, if you have a hard freeze early, that just causes the leaves to drop. Then you see lots of brown. Yeah. And we've seen a lot of, I've noticed a lot of leaf drop this year happening during August.
Me too.
So a lot of leaf drop early, which, I started to get concerned then for multiple reasons. It was the driest August in history here across the state, as a state here in Kentucky. But yeah, lots of crunchy on the ground then. I mean, it's pretty bad when I noticed the invasive species in my nearby woods, bush honeysuckle, all lost their leaves because they were so dry. Folks, when you see the invasive species, going into protection mode and dropping leaves in August, it's dry. That's as dry as I'd ever seen it. But yeah, I think there's still hope for some pretty good color. Like Alexis, you mentioned some of the plants you were seeing starting to pick up some color here in the central part of the state. I noticed on my drive to work this morning, I'm starting to see the red maples. I started, what else did I notice? Of course, you have, bushes and other things in the the landscape that's showing color. But winged euonymus, speaking of an invasive species that's in a lot of landscapes, they're starting to pick up a lot of that red color, and they turn vibrant, like solid red. But I'm starting to see some of those, and walnuts are picking up some of the yellow.
We have we have several red maples in our yard, some pretty mature ones, and I did get a Facebook memory, from this week last year, and I had a picture of the dogs, and they were sitting in the yard, and you could see how and the maple was pretty much completely red. I mean, it was bright and shining, and this year it's like they're just starting to get that red along the edges, which I thought was really interesting. It's still like the tree looks good. It hasn't dropped a bunch of leaves, which leads to that dry, tells us things are too dry. But I'm like, oh, okay, we're probably 2 weeks different, or at least 10 days different. But I think we've got a lot of cool, like really cool coming up, nights coming up. So I'm wondering how fast that will trigger everything.
And I think we have maybe a frost warning for central part of the state. And Daniel, I was talking to someone else here recently, Daniel, a friend, and was telling me that they've had some frost on his windshield in eastern Kentucky already. And I was kind of surprised by that as of the recording today, because I've not seen that in central Kentucky, but I think we have a frost warning tonight. So I think that'll ramp up.
Freeze tomorrow, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Freeze warning at least.
Yeah.
But the ground is so warm still, I think, that like I'm not sure all that heat, radiant heat that's going to be coming up out of the ground, I think will protect stuff a lot through these first couple freezes.
Yeah, the temperature's on the verge. It's not a deep freeze, which is good for all of you leaf lookers. Once again, you don't want that quick hard freeze, because then you have a little rain usually and just mass leaf drop. So hopefully we get some of the conditions. I still have hope for color. So maybe by this weekend, when this airs on a Sunday at 5 p.m. typically, we're going to be picking up even more color, because the conditions are kind of right for that. And I hope I'm going to really pay attention this year to see what that really super dry August did, because I guess, Brett, Alexis, we had a very wet year in Kentucky early on. But that August temperature, the temperatures we had then, and the lack of moisture, I just don't know what it's going to do. So this year I have to pay particular attention to the leaf color. So if anybody out there notices that they have good color or don't have good color, we'd love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you, especially just because I'm a leaf hunter. I love to go find the fall color. And I have plans to, Brett mentioned the gorge. It's one of my favorite places to hike there, going towards the eastern part of the state. I plan on going there and looking for leaves. And even if there's not great color, I will go where there's young stands of maples. Usually they're pretty dependable. Even when it's not a good leaf color year, if you have young maple trees, you're going to pick up the reds and the yellows and sassafras, which is one of my ultimate favorites. And because I'm greedy, I want all the fall colors, and you get all the fall colors on one tree from sassafras. You get the oranges, yellows, and reds on one tree, sometimes at the same time. So
that sumac that I gave you, Ray.
Yeah.
The cut leaf.
It has some really cool different variations of color.
I remember that. And they're some of the prettiest trees, especially like the one you gave me after hearing your description. I'm pretty excited about growing that guy up and seeing what it can do. I'm really excited.
And they grow fast too, so it's really like rewarding. They're like, oh, okay, cool. What were you gonna say something, Alexis?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ray, didn't you say one time you like came across like this random patch of aspens?
It's an aspen tree in the gorge.
Okay.
It's quaking aspen. And it was strange because I saw something moving, and at the gorge it was getting dark, and I thought, well, that's not good. Immediately my mind goes to
If you see something moving in the gorge, no, you didn't.
And I was on a sunny point, and I came up on a quaking aspen tree growing out on a rocky outcropping on a sunny point on one of the trails I was on. And I was like, how in the world did this get here? And it was just doing what the aspens do. The leaves were shivering, and that was the movement that I was catching out of my eye. And I saw that, so I look for that thing every year, and I want to go back and check on it. I have to go back and see on my maps what trail that was on. It's part of a larger trail system. But yeah, that was a really cool experience to see that guy. And there was no movement in the woods, but even when there's no movement, if you run up on one of those trees, you'll see that they're still just always moving. It seems like just the way the petioles are situated on the tree. Yeah, they're just shivering all the time, or quaking, or doing what they do.
So I saw something at some point that the quaking aspen, part of that is like a functional adaptive thing, where the movement allows for additional evapotranspiration, which allows for it to move water more, which allows for it to move more nutrients. And so that's a large thing of why quaking aspen, Populus tremuloides, does that, I think.
Cool.
I was not expecting, I was not in my, what do they say? It was not in my bingo card for this episode that I would be the one to pull us back to plant physiology nerd stuff.
Bringing us back.
I was racking my brain.
Just right before me.
I was remembering the 3% of things that I remember from my education, childhood education. And I remember them saying that what happens is when a tree changes from green to yellow or orange, Alexis, it's not that the green is changing to yellow and orange. It's that the green is fading away and the yellow and orange are revealed.
Correct.
And in my research for this, I was looking and there's a nice couple of nice articles. One from the University of Utah State University. The orange and yellow things that these are referred to as carotenoids and xanthophylls. But then the pink and red, it's actually a different story in the sense that it is actually produced in the fall primarily, and found they give the example of maples, flowering pear, sumac, dogwood. And so that will vary based on what the weather conditions are like in the fall. But just back on the revealing thing, is there something you were going to say about that, Alexis, with the green?
That was exactly what I was going to say. Of if you want to sound smart or share something, a cool fact with people, you can say the yellow and the orange and fall color is always there. It's just hidden by the green. And so that green, that plant is kind of sucking back that chlorophyll, putting stuff back into the root system, some energy, some nutrients.
It doesn't last, like you said, once it's not produced.
It reveals the oranges and the yellows that were always there. But the reds are different. I always forget the way they are, but that, I think Ray was saying, that's why a dry fall is great, because those sugars are concentrated, and it's those anthocyanins that make up the reds are part of that, and they are more concentrated.
Well, and I believe that I remember that, so our light spectrum, we don't actually aren't able to see light spectra, but when it's hitting that leaf, the carotenoids and the xanthophylls and the chlorophyll are working together, each to absorb energy from different spectra of light. So the green spectrum's hitting the chlorophyll, et cetera. And the green chlorophyll, that's like the most efficient mechanism. Like that's the most efficient spectrum, highest energy conversion, whatever. And so that's why the green is dominant. And I mean, this is me way going out into speculative, but
you're going to mess with them now, Brad. Yeah.
For like a ethno-botanical perspective, like some sort of a more forensic or looking backward in history across evolutionary, timelines, I could imagine that there were trees that had yellow leaves and they just didn't do quite so good. And there were trees that had green leaves and they didn't do just quite so good. And so the ones that actually had all of those were able to adapt to different timelines, and who knows, maybe eventually that'll be completely gone or it'll just be green. But it's pretty cool that they're like, it not only is it there the whole time, it's doing work the whole time to absorb light from a different spectrum that's not available in the green. It's just, I don't know.
You think about, I mean, we still have those plants. We just call it variegation, right? It's just like a pink variegation, a white variegation. Well, white is like the absence of, but we've got yellow variegated things. And so that is most of the time it's a mutation, a natural mutation, where that green chlorophyll is broken. There's a break there where you're seeing the yellow or the pink, and the it's not overlapped with the green. And so, and that's why most variegated plants, whether it's red or yellow, will revert back to a solid green if given enough time and or like the right conditions, because it needs to produce more sugars, right? And so it knows that the green leaves are more efficient. So it's like, oh, okay. And there is, like an act to keep going with that. And so it's cool that we still see that. And there's this huge push in the houseplant world with, all the white and yellow variegation. And it was like, these monstera leaves that would come out and they'd be like solid white or pale yellow. And that plant's not going to live because there's not enough nutrients being reproduced because there's no chlorophyll for those to live just on the white leaves.
Yeah. On the variegation front too, that reversion can be sped up if it's in too shady of a location, because there's just not enough available light to sustain that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've ever had one revert, it could be that was just as Alexis was saying, it was just kind of a time bomb to go back to green. Mm-hmm. But it could also be that it's just in too shady of a location and it's like, nah, we have a ZZ plant that is, so most of the stalks are dark purple, and the one that just came out is bright green, and it's in a fairly shady location.
Raven.
Yeah, Raven.
That's what it's called. But so it fades, so it comes out bright,
Nevermore,
lime green. Raven. It comes out lime green, but it'll, as that plant ages, black purple coloring will return.
So that one's good. That one's okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was natty. We got it from a plant sale from some old ladies, and so I wasn't sure. So, but the other stuff that we said still does.
Yeah.
Hold.
Well, and it's funny because I've seen so the shade is, you're 100% on that one, right? And that's like when we would get calls about people saying, we usually would say like, oh, it's probably getting too much shade. But I have seen it in the extreme opposite. It's like the extremes of the plant. So if that plant is getting too much light, that the variegated parts will burn, and so that plant is then suffering from this sunburn, right? Just like the pale person, all the pale people on this podcast get sunburns. It's the same concept. And so the plant, it wants this kind of natural sunscreen, which is chlorophyll, and it'll throw out solid green leaves. So it's like the two extreme ends of the spectrum will make the plant goes, this isn't correct, let me right this wrong, and throws out the green. And like just that, obviously it's not like awareness in the way that we think of awareness. I forget, there's a word for when you give people terms to not people things.
Anthropomorphizing.
Yes. But that concept, the fact that these plants can identify this and right that wrong to the best of their ability is just like so cool. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you're seeing how excited I am by talking about that. But anyways, we were talking about fall color and I got into anthropomorphism. So
well, real quick, two maybe non-traditional aspects of fall color. One for me is like, pay a little bit of attention to some of the non-traditional fall color things. Like if you have junipers around, if you have eastern red cedars included in that, if you have pine trees around. And, as you're expanding your love and awareness of horticulture and plants, you'll start to notice like, okay, because junipers, once we get some frosts, a lot of them will take on this like almost purple green color.
Yeah.
There's certain cultivars that'll go more of a yellow, which is kind of cool, but like they change pretty drastically. They're still quote unquote evergreen. The same way with the pine trees, they'll take on maybe a little bit of a darker tone. Some of them may go almost a little yellow or a little bit lighter shade. But I just think that's a fun aspect of kind of growing as you're observing plants. The other thing I was going to ask, since we were talking about houseplants, are there like things that you notice changes in your houseplants during this fall color change or winter color change, or is that am I crazy?
No, we all know like Thanksgiving cactus, Christmas cactus. So the blooms are in relation to the light change that we talked about earlier, that Ray talked about. But I also have some other plants that will bloom. I have oh crap, I just forgot what it's called. Something cactus, but it's it
Is it
gets
the
these big
Thanksgiving
white.
one? Or
No, it gets these big
okay.
white blooms on it.
Not a prickly pear.
No,
No.
can't believe I just forgot that. I'm so embarrassed. But yeah, so sometimes they change and just like trees do change color, they will bloom based on the temperature difference and or the light. And so sometimes it's a combo of both. Versus, or sometimes it's one or the other, and they just tend to coincide with low light is, lower temperature in this part of the world. But
is it a epiphyllum or a cereus or a
if Jessica was here, because I've given her a piece of it. It's a night blooming cactus. It's a night blooming cactus.
We got there.
Yes. I got there. I was like, blah, blah, blah. But yeah,
we got there. I feel like we got there.
You got Jessica, Queen of the Night. See, she knows. It's Queen of the Night.
Come on, Jessica, Queen of the Night.
But
anyways, is that a cactus, or that's her referring affectionately to you? Is that that's not her referring affectionately to you, Alexis? Is Queen of the?
Oh well, I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
When I went to prom, I wore a black dress, and someone said I look like the angel of death, and so Queen of the Night feels like.
And that's an angel, I'm hearing you think I look like an angel.
That's what he took away from that. That's what he took away from that.
But yeah, and also on a not so positive, a lot of my houseplants end up starting to lose their leaves. Well, part of it is I turned my heat on, right? So this dry heat, and we know that's bad for tropical plants at least. And then low light, so they don't need as many leaves in the first place. So it's not always you doing something wrong. It's just them going, why am I taking care of this if I don't have to? Yeah. And so they drop leaves. Just be careful. Don't overwater. And if you're bringing them in from outside into your home, that's a big like fluctuation of humidity and light, and just like it's the reason I don't put very many houseplants outside these days, because the crash between those two environments is pretty real.
You're riding the line between, oh man, they put on a lot of growth and we're very happy in our hot, humid summer, and now back to reality inside my house.
I've had a curly leaf jade that's just got huge, and actually has gotten leggy on the outside a little bit, what I would describe as leggy, which is still pretty stocky for a curly leaf jade. But I'm wondering what that guy's going to do once I bring it back in, because it's just exploded in size this year. It's gotten, it's doubled,
drop
more than
all
double.
those leaves. Yeah.
It's just like very well made. Little succulent.
Jade leaves like make a plop sound when they fall, right? Because they're so
that's
succulent.
Good. They're just going to make babies. So I'm going to propagate the heck out of it. Amaryllis is one of those rare ones.
I was recently made aware that jade leaves will like propagate from, jade will propagate from leaves. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
If they fall on the floor, I literally just throw them back in the pot, and I'm like,
then you got babies. Yeah. Some of them will, they'll touch.
I cut you off though, right? You were going to say
something. No, I was going to say amaryllis is one of those weird things. We've talked about that before. I like, there's a fun one for me. I grow them year round, but they actually like being under a grow light better than being outside, because they're kind of finicky on how much direct sun they get. So it's one of those weird ones where they get, like I use a 12-hour cycle on grow lights on the inside, and they actually like it better. When I bring them in, they get really glossy. The leaves thicken up. And I don't know what it is. I think sometimes some of the ones I have at the back of my house, they get a tiny bit too much direct sun, so it bleaches them a little bit.
I think it's also
they do better. They just love it. I think
it's also that you freaks have plant magic. I
don't think so.
I think
like
so.
No. I feel
like only the strong survive with me, Brett.
Yeah, this is what you call humility. This is what you call humility. But these people are, they're legit plant people, and they let me tag along and pretend, and we make it work.
Bonsai guy. So,
but I know.
I think you've got some. I don't know, because I've heard multiple things now. I think across where people will be like, oh, I've really had trouble with this thing. And you like sort of be like, yeah, I've had one of those for 15 years and it's doing pretty good. And it's like, then that's great. But I do think that's part of it too. Just a sixth sense, perhaps about what they need,
or 6 years of a degree program. And I paid a lot of money for.
You get 1 cent per year. Many dollars for 1 cent per year.
Yeah. I recently went houseplant shopping with Brett. We were buying a houseplant for someone, and he like just tagged along and humored me as I went, ooh, and this, and ooh, and this, and ooh, oh, and this, and I could just see him like giggling in the background. I was like, did you see that? Oh my god, these! But really,
this one here, it's kind of big. Do they have these anywhere else? I don't need. You may be coming home with me though if I can't find anybody else.
Look, it's accidentally in my cart.
It's interesting because like we were there for like I don't know, maybe 45 minutes, and she did not speak to me, despite the fact that she was speaking to someone the whole time, and it was the plants there. I was very happy to be. I was happy to be. We gave someone a plant as a thank you for some help they gave us on our recent work event, which was that was a fun trip, and I managed to pick out the one not labeled juniper that had some bonsai potential, and asked the nice lady there, "Do you know what this is?" She's like, "I don't have any idea, but I'll go find out." But it was
they
fun,
had an answer. They just had to go ask somebody else.
That's right. That's extension. Yeah. I don't have an answer immediately, but I will find out for you.
Go find out.
So Ray, you have plans to engage in this fall color?
Yeah, I want to get out we've had a lot going on as a family this year, and I just haven't gotten into the woods this fall much at all. But then again, I've been closely watching the leaf change to make sure that I don't miss it. So my son and I, he knows that I'm nerd out on this stuff. So he's like, is it time to go hiking yet? I'm like, it's always time to go hiking. First of all, Reed. But we've
Dad, I happen to notice there's some fall color. I mean,
but when the trails get crunchy and the leaves start to turn, I will go find them. So I plan on, just getting out in the woods this fall like I always do and go find some of those things. But, even if you're on campus or, you're at your local park, you don't have to get into the big woods and go find those things, because some of the very best examples of color will be in situations where a tree may be on its own, which may not be its natural thing to not be growing in a grove of other trees. But when trees like the maples, especially the improved cultivars, they get sunlight all the way around, they will be so bright orange or so bright red that they practically glow. So go find one of those at your local park system and just kind of check it out and watch those and don't miss that color. So you can find color anywhere, and it doesn't have to be trees. It can, lots of shrubs like the witch hazel and things. I mean, there's lots of shrubs that also have lots of good fall color.
Even bald cypress has like a really cool
burnished kind of color.
Yeah. Looks like a paintbrush that's been dipped in like some kind of an amber paint or something.
I love the color of those. Yeah.
There's
the texture adds something special too.
There's some maples on the strip along Nicholasville Road there where I kind of walk in, near where I walk in. And so I can mark the seasons by how many. First, it's like there's geese trying to intimidate me, Canadian geese trying to intimidate me as I walk in. And that lasts for a while until they move on. And then the trees start to change color. Unfortunately, I've been cutting down a bunch of trees around campus because they're constructing a bunch. So there's a lot of old friends that weren't there this year that were previously.
Lexington has some beautiful old trees. I mean, we're very lucky. I was coming down Cooper the other day, and there's some of those older neighborhoods around central Kentucky and Lexington that are just beautiful in the fall. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And it's the trees, man.
Catalpa is like the street Catalpa, not the tree, is known for having like these ginkgos that are really photogenic. And so it has had some Instagram moments over the last few years of a bunch of people coming and taking pictures when it's changing.
If you get those things just right, it's just absolutely beautiful.
Magical.
You mentioned Catalpa. I noticed a bunch of those trees are starting to yellow. They're a little bit, they don't have that purity of yellow as a ginkgo, but Catalpas have that nice yellow, and they're big leaves. So they can be kind of showy under the right conditions, but not
and
like
they have
ginkgo.
catalpa worms, which are really good catfish bait.
Fishing, yes, absolutely. For fishing, good stuff.
Wow.
Good stuff.
That's it. That feels like a quicksand approved tip there. Catalpa worms for catfishing. That's the time of year for it.
Yeah. And when I grew up in the eastern part of the state, you'd see all the fishermen. They'd go find the catalpa trees around, and then you're looking for the worms. Yeah, great fishing bait.
That was the only tree my husband asked me to plant on the farm, and they're actually a little more hard to find because most people don't have to plant them; they just exist.
No, not here.
So
Yeah, they're much more common
one of
in the
these days.
central
I'll
part of the
find
state.
us one.
Call Oakland or one of those local native tree places. Yeah. So I don't know, fall leaf color. I look forward to it. It's going to be interesting this year to see what we get. And I think all that goes back to the interesting weather patterns that we've been having, that historically wet and now historically dry August, and how that's going to add up to leaf color change. So I look forward to seeing what's going to happen. Should be good.
We hope you get out and enjoy some fall color and check out some maps and put on your sweater for sweater weather or flannel season, as I like to say.
Season.
Flannel season.
Flannel season.
And your fluffy socks. Gosh, I love getting out a pair of like good, warm, fluffy socks.
Obnoxiously fluffy, like super thick, fluffy.
Yeah, I just love a good.
You can't fit them in a shoe, fluffy.
Yeah, my boots do get kind of tight sometimes during the year.
Fluffy socks. Extremely overly fluffy socks. Absolutely.
Extremely overly. But well, I hope you put on your flannel and your fuzzy socks, and then you go outside and enjoy the fall color. And now you have all kinds of things that you can brag to people as you walk by. And those are my dogs, so of course they're going to bark.
They are ready to go. They're ready to put on their flannel socks and go outside and enjoy the fall color.
We're so excited.
Corgis on a hike. What gets better than that? I apologize. Please forgive me.
Rennie and Finn, shout out Rennie and Finn. Don't ever apologize for my friends. They have a voice too.
Maybe I need to post a picture of them with some fall color, and
you do. That would be awesome.
That's correct. That's correct.
Believe it or not, you can hear them through the door, so that's great.
I can feel them. I can feel them through the door.
Them. I hope you feel that fall energy through these Remy barks. But thank you guys for being with us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope you come back. We hope you give us lots of stars and that you follow us on Instagram at Horticulture Podcast, and send us your pictures. Tag us on Instagram if you take some photos with some cool plants and say, I learned that yellow and orange was always in the plant. We would love that. We appreciate you guys for being here, and we hope you'll join us next time. Have a great one.